Every game I play is either picked randomly using a random number generator, that's what RNG stands for, or it's picked by you, the viewer out there. Now, I did a video recently where I called myself a fake gamer, and I mentioned a bunch of really classic games that I had never played before or never finished, like A Link to the Past. But I asked you guys what game I should play off that list. And A Link to the Past actually came in second place. Number one was from a series that I have like every game of, and I'd only ever played one of them. And that series is Yakuza. Hey guys, I'm RNG Gamer. I play all my games randomly. This is Beating the Backlog, where I talk about all the games that were picked randomly for me to play or that were picked by other people for me to play. And you guys picked this. Let's talk about Yakuza Zero. This is the prequel to the only Yakuza game I have ever played, Yakuza Kiwami. I thought that game was absolutely fantastic. I gave it a 9 out of 10, and I was so excited to dive in this one. The story of this that you play is Kiryu in his early days in the Yakuza back in 1988. I was 6 years old in 1988, and he's framed for a murder he didn't commit. You have to clear his name. Now, the game's story, just like every other Yakuza game, is very serious and full of all sorts of internal Yakuza family politics. And this one has a real estate thing going on where there's this empty lot that's in the middle of like a high-priced area, and the Yakuza want to take over this area, and they can't because this small little like 10 by 10 lot is in the way, and no one knows who owns it, and they've got to buy it so they can build like a skyscraper there, okay? Now, we got family turmoil, organized crime, like friggin' real estate, all these adult severe concepts. But in every Yakuza game, the story, which is always severe as can be, stands in stark contrast to the insane and weird and zany and wacky side quests. Yakuza takes place in a semi-open world, and it is known for these insane freaking mini games and side missions. They're just, it's so weird how they're so different from just the severity of the stories. And I love that because it gives you a break from all this heavy drama and action the whole time. Now, the Yakuza series requires you to have a little bit of knowledge of the inner workings of how an organized Japanese crime family works. It goes out of its way to label everything. Every person is referred to with their full name and their position within their family and what part of the consortium that is and the greater overall hierarchy of all this stuff. It's a lot to keep track of. The game kind of tries to remind you of it, but it doesn't always succeed. And I do find myself having to write down like a flow chart or a family tree of what's going on in the Yakuza structure. Basically, the Yakuza organization works like a big pyramid scheme, with the Toga organization being like the overarching company. And it's made out of different families with a patriarch, captains, lieutenants, goons, all that sort of stuff. And even these families can have like smaller subsidiary families under them. And it can be a lot. And even these families in these large organizations don't even know the existence of some of the other families in the organizations. And they find out they're like working under the same umbrella, and they scheme against each other, and they're always trying to like beat each other to the top. Okay, that's what it's all about. You got to get that money, you got to get that prestige, and everybody's crawling all over each other trying to get there. Now, the difference between Yakuza Zero and Yakuza Kiwami is you also get to play as Goro Majima, who's Kiryu's rival from the first game. And to me, he's a much more interesting character. And it's strange how dark his freaking origin story is compared to how like unbelievably silly he is in Yakuza Kiwami. He is like the comic relief without a doubt. And in this one, like, he went through torture and all this like terrible stuff and got kicked out of the Yakuza. Like, it is so dark about the situation he finds himself in at the beginning of this game. And I kind of loved it, and it made me respect him more for what he became later. Now, the stories of Kiryu and Majima, they go on simultaneously, and you flip back and forth between the different chapters, but the characters never really meet in the game at all. But they're both living the same story, and it's great to hear both sides of their tale. Now, Yakuza Zero and all the Yakuza games are a crime drama. They're just a crime drama, but at times they feel almost like a soap opera. They have these over-the-top and like contrived plot points, and there's like every section of every part of the story has like a twist to it. Like, it's always trying to keep you on your toes. And normally I don't like that, but in the Yakuza games, I love it. I love it. It keeps them so entertaining. It's something you need in a game that you're gonna spend like 50 hours on, which, by the way, is like how much time I spent on this game. Now, as for the gameplay, it's an open world game, and it's like kind of like GTA, and it's set in 1988 Japan, like we mentioned. And you roam around the map going from story mission to story mission. And this map is pretty small. It's only semi-open world. It's just like a tiny region in like a GTA game. And I have to say, this map is recycled from Yakuza Kiwami. And that at first made me like upset because it felt like a cash grab, but with the amount of content they put in this game, I can't say it was a cash grab. It's not. Even though it does use the same setting, it's more nostalgic than it is cheap. Now, like I mentioned, there are tons of side missions and distractions. Seriously, like, side content is 80% of this game, and it is silly as hell. The story is like gravely serious, but the side missions, most of the stuff you're doing in this game is silly. So overall, this game feels really just zany and wacky the whole time. And then like there's this huge shift in mood when you go to a story mission. And I kind of enjoy that. You have pocket car racing. You got karaoke. There's collecting honest to God, softcore, real life filmed adult movie theater videos that you can watch at private theaters with live actors, right? Real girls filmed in real life were put into this game, okay? There's even like arcades full of classic Sega games like Space Harrier and Outrun and Hang On. It's so freaking cool. There's female bikini wrestling, mahjong, battling cages, even freaking more than that, even stuff I can't list. There are all these weird side missions where a guy's like trying to like hook up with as many women as he can, or this girl's in a panty selling underground crime ring. It's just so wacky and weird. It's just so crazy. That's what people love about Yakuza. That's what I love about Yakuza. The combat is just like brawling with combos and switchable fighting stances, and you're often like accosted by the thugs on the street, and beating them up grants you money, which you use to upgrade your fighting abilities and buy stuff like healing potions. I really love the mechanic of just using money to do everything. That's your XP, that is your, resources to buy new gear. I just love that idea. That way you're only grinding for one thing instead of two things. Although you don't really need to grind in this game. You just gotta get good, okay? It's not that hard, but it can get challenging at times. The story missions, especially the bosses, can be very challenging. So you need to make sure you're prepared before you dive into like these long assaults on like the rival Yakuza base or something like that. Luckily, you can easily upgrade, and that can make the game a lot more easy. Easily, you can do this and it makes it more easy. Yeah, of course, let's just use easy. It makes it easier, okay? The main thing to do is just make sure that your inventory is stocked full of healing supplies, okay? And then you just button mash your way through it, which I did sometimes and enjoyed just watching the spectacle of Kiryu and Majima just be total badasses. Now let's talk about some of the things I love in this game. I've only played one other Yakuza, and I kind of wish I hadn't waited because the new ones come out so fast, I don't think I'm ever gonna catch up with them. And what's worse is you get so immersed in these games and you spend so much time in these worlds, you don't really want to leave. So it makes it like a time sink for each one of them. So it's harder to catch up because I only have so many games a year I can play that are this long. Hell, I spent 15 hours just on the real estate mini game in this game alone. 15 hours. I could have played like 3 other old games in that time period to review for you guys. But instead, I was sitting there just like trying to get more money and take over more territory. I regret nothing. I'm sorry. Now, this game is not perfect. It's very, very, very good. There are a few things I don't like about it. For example, the environments and a lot of the side events are reused from Yakuza Kiwami. It's the exact same map, like I said, and some things like the pocket car racing are pretty much exactly the same. It makes this game feel like a huge DLC. And I think, honestly, that's what the game was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a DLC to Kiwami, and it was just so expansive they made it its own standalone game, which is awesome. I'd rather have that. The game is so good, like I said, it feels more nostalgic to revisit this loved city that they like copy and pasted than it feels lazy. Another downside is that the story is so complicated, it's really easy to forget what's going on after you spend a couple of days like screwing around doing the mini games and stuff like that. It's crime drama, so of course there are twists and turns. Like I said, it's like a soap opera. It's just the way it is. These are not games you need to like play a little bit and then take like a week or two off. You need to like go through them. So I played this game over the course of several months, and I ended up doing like the last 80% of it over the course of like 2 weeks. And playing it just steadily nonstop is the way to do it. You need to immerse yourself in this world, not just like throw a few hours into it here and there. This is a game you gotta like live. You gotta be a Yakuza for a little while you play this game, okay? You gotta be there with them. Yakuza Zero and the Yakuza franchise, great games with amazing characters, cool music, cool stories, great side missions. It's just like it's its own thing, and I love that about it. I intentionally dragged out my time with this game because I didn't want it to be over. It's one of the best games I've played this year. Yakuza Zero, without a doubt, is a solid 9 out of 10. It is absolutely fantastic. Let's talk about a game from another beloved series that I've only played one game in the series. And let's spin the random wheel to see what was selected.
What's it gonna be? It could be any. Can't wait to see. Shantae. Heck yeah, man. That's sick. Okay, let's do that.
It's Shantae, a game so classic, I bought it twice, and I kind of wish I hadn't. Shantae is one of the most rare and expensive games on the Game Boy Color. It goes like for $500 or something like that. And it got re-released on the freaking Switch and reprinted on the Game Boy Advance or what, Game Boy Color, whatever. I've got both of them, like I just showed you. And it's part of a pretty extensive series. And I mean, there's side scrollers done by WayForward, and WayForward is legendary for making side scrollers. And this game originally was on the Game Boy Color, like I said, and this is a technical marvel of a game. It's a masterpiece in terms of design, just the animations and all the content and stuff. I can't believe that this is on the Game Boy Color, which is basically like just an original Nintendo Entertainment System, right? This is like an NES 8-bit game, and it has animations that look better than like 32-bit games. The characters are detailed, they have great animations. There's this third-person view in the towns that's incredible, combined with like this unbelievable soundtrack. And it's easy to see why this game is so loved. Now, Shantae is a half genie, and she also has to protect her town. So these pirates show up, steal a steam engine, and Shantae has to stop them and get the engine back. It kind of has a Metroidvania feel to it, where the map has different towns and you have to travel left and right, back and forth to get new items, to access new areas, to get to new towns and all this sort of stuff. It can be kind of like hard to know where to go. It does give you clues, but it's like, go to Watertown, and you're like, which way is freaking water? Is it to the left or the right? And it's like, your guess is as good as mine, and you wander into some area and get absolutely annihilated, okay? And I say get annihilated, and I'm not joking, because this game is freaking hard, especially at the beginning before you get upgrades. Enemies spawn right on top of you. Shantae's hair whip is super hard to control. I almost never got the swing of it, and there's this slight delay when attacking and jumping. This may just be the Switch port, okay? I don't know if this plays perfectly on the Game Boy Color. I'm not gonna open up my copy, because my Switch copy was already open, but on the Switch, which is the version I'm reviewing, it controls like garbage. Just absolute disaster controls. I kept dying over and over and over. And this game, it's unfair and it's unbalanced. It's definitely a relic of its time. It reminds me a lot of Wonder Boy. You grind for gold to buy items and travel to different areas in a sort of like pseudo Metrovania, kind of like Simon's Quest. It also has the day-night cycle for Simon's Quest, where the enemies get harder in the middle of the night than they are in the day. And it's always really like inconvenient and frustrating when it happens. And it happens in this just like Simon's Quest, and nobody likes it. I don't know why they even do it in the first place. Because this was originally a Game Boy Color game, the screen is really small. So that just leads you to have to do a bunch of like leaps of faith and jumping into enemies you couldn't have known were even there, and having to know where platforms are without being able to see them and stuff. And I hate that feeling in a game. Now there are dungeons in this, and them themselves are very fun. I think they're pretty decent. And they have puzzle elements you have to overcome, and in each one you unlock a new animal ability, which is also a ripoff from the Wonder Boy games. That's what you do in those games too. You can become a monkey and climb walls, or an elephant and smash blocks, etc. And this is fun, but what isn't fun is how you transform. The way Shantae transforms is you press a button that makes her start dancing, and then you have to press buttons in like a rhythm game mixed with Ocarina of Time kind of system, where you have to like know the dance moves to do at the right time, and that will transform her. Just kind of like when you played Ocarina of Time, you had to know the song to play on the ocarina. It's doing that, but like I said, it's very highly time-based. The issue is that this is so freaking hard. Remember when I talked about how there's a delay in this game? Yeah, there's a delay when you're dancing. It's almost impossible to play on the beat. You have to like play so far off the beat that I can't even give you an example. It's not like you're playing a 16th note ahead of the beat. It's just like some arbitrary time before the beat. You just gotta get lucky. And getting lucky is fine, except sometimes you have to change forms really quickly in like boss fights and stuff. And a boss is just wailing on you, and you're just like, all you gotta do is press like down, left, down left to like turn into the elephant or whatever, and you just can't do it. You're just like, even if there wasn't anybody there, it'd take me 10 or 15 tries to get it each time. And I'm a musician, it's not like I can't do things on the beat. What I'm seeing on the screen of the button presses, they're not lining up, okay? It's not my fault. It's poor game design or poor porting. I don't know which one. The other Shantae game I played, I really liked, and liked it so much I decided to buy all the other Shantae games. This first Shantae game, I don't think this is a very good game. I'm just reviewing the Switch version. I'm not talking about the Game Boy Color. The Switch port of it just does not play well. And I know that the Game Boy Color version of the game is legendary and highly sought after, and it has some really cool ideas. It's very dated. They're old gameplay mechanics that are frustrating, and mixed with the frustrating controls on the Switch just makes it a slog to play through. I spent like 3 hours one afternoon just grinding the same enemies so I could max out all my money, and I went and bought every single upgrade that the village had, and then couldn't even really figure out how to use them or make them work at will. Like the button presses just don't work, and even then I don't even know what to do with them. It's just, the game just wastes your time. It wastes your time. The combat, the backtracking, it's a huge chore. The presentation's great, and I like where the series went with the sequels. It's a holy grail because of its rarity, not because of its gameplay. I had to force myself to play this, and I didn't really enjoy myself. It really does play kind of like a second-rate NES game with beautiful graphics and great music. When this came out on the Game Boy Color, it came out in 2002, which I think was like the last game to come out on the Game Boy Color. We were already in full swing of the Game Boy Advance at that point. It was dated then. That's why nobody bought this game. I made it about halfway through the original Shantae before the game asked me to backtrack from one end of the entire map all the way to the other end, which is basically like playing through the entire game again, right, in reverse. And this is the third time they'd asked me to do that. I was not having a good time. I just didn't want to do it. So I hung the towel up on Shantae. I don't think Shantae's a great game. It has a really cool presentation. I don't know why people wanted this so badly, other than the fact that it was just rare. Shantae, the original, on the Nintendo Switch, this port of it, I'm giving a 5 out of 10. It's just not a good port. It's not fun to play, it just doesn't work. Now, I mentioned everything I play is picked randomly or selected by you guys, but there's a caveat to that. I have an 11-year-old daughter who likes video games. And if she wants to play a video game with daddy, I'll play it with her. That comes out, that's outside of the whole system, okay? Well, we played this game many years ago when she was a lot younger. She struggled with it, but she wanted to come back to it. I own it on the Switch, but we ended up playing it on the Xbox One because I already had it digitally there. My Switch version is now expensive and I didn't want to open it up. But I hear they play exactly the same. And it's Castle Crashers. Now, I've mentioned Castle Crashers plenty of times on this channel. I have played and beaten this game countless times over the years. My daughter had never had the opportunity to beat it. So I decided to go through it and play it from the beginning again with her. And you see the gameplay footage here of us playing it together. And we had a great time. And since I played it again, I decided I would review it for the channel. This was made by the Behemoth and Tom Fulp, creator of Newgrounds, and when this game first came out on Xbox Live, it was a huge success. At the time, there weren't many beat-em-ups coming out at all. Everybody was playing this game, and they were playing it in online play, including me. And this is a 4-player co-op game. It was my most wanted game physically, and I waited for years and years and years for them to put this out. And they finally did it on the Switch, and of course I had to grab it, like I said, but now it's so expensive, I don't want to open it up. And considering I've already bought this game digitally like twice, we went with the digital version on the Xbox. It was also my daughter's first time to ever really get to play the Xbox, and she didn't even know Xbox is a thing. Like, none of her friends play Xbox. Now, the story of Castle Crashers is a simple one. The royal castle has been invaded, and all the princesses have been kidnapped, and you have to go rescue them. Initially, the game only had 4 knights to select from, but there are tons of unlockable characters, new characters they have added over the years in DLC packs. You pick one of them and up to 3 of your friends and set off on a beat-em-up adventure. And all the characters have a variety of attacks, including magic and ranged, and the ability to level up and spec out your build. If you want to go full magic, you can do that. If you want to go like full defense, you can do that. If you want to do full ranged, all that's possible. I've done them all. They're all valid. They're all a ton of fun. The gameplay is super simple, but it works great. Now, like I said, this game was made by the Behemoth, same people that did Newgrounds, and this game definitely has like a 2000s flash animation aesthetic to it. It's an awesome art style. I absolutely love it. I'm super nostalgic about it. It has fantastic music that's ranging from silly to epic to just memorable and hum along. There's this very pronounced early 2000s sense of crude humor, and I like that, although it does feel very silly, and my daughter, who's 11, was like rolling her eyes on multiple occasions. I was just out of college when this originally came out, so of course I think it's hilarious. And you know, while my daughter did roll her eyes, I caught her laughing a few times, right? She still has that dad's genes in her that finds like gross out humor hilarious, and I'm proud of her for that. There's a variety of levels in this game. You got deserts, castles, sawmills, spaceships, graveyards. Just the level design, they threw the kitchen sink at you, and there are all these weapons and minions and things to unlock, and you can of course get like healing items and all the stuff you want. You level up between the levels and you can become super overpowered, and that's what the game's all about, right? Overpowering your characters. It's very forgiving in terms of its difficulty, and if you get stuck, you can always grind and level up. It's mostly mindless fun, which is exactly what I want in a game like this. Now, this game can get a little repetitive and boring, which is the case with most beat 'em ups. This game is a beat 'em up. It is a beat 'em up. It's the most memorable beat 'em up I've ever played in my life. Not the best, but the one I remember the most. I really do think that this game is a modern classic. Everyone should play Castle Crashers, 100%. It's not gonna change your life, but you're gonna have a good time with it. You'll probably wanna play through it a few times with your friends. This is one of the few games I played consistently over the last like 15 years, and at least once a year I boot it up and I play a little bit, level up one of my characters, you know, a couple levels, and run around and have a good time. It's a lot of fun. It's a great party game. Castle Crashers, without a doubt, I don't think I can give it anything other than an 8 out of 10. It's absolutely great. Now, this next game's a little bit out of the ordinary too, because I was playing Yakuza Zero, as we mentioned earlier in this, and there are games in that arcade, and one of the games in the arcade is a game that was in my backlog. So if I have to play it for Yakuza Zero to get completion of that game, I might as well just count it and remove it from my backlog and review it. So this is the Yakuza Zero port of the classic arcade game Outrun. Now, I did the same thing with Space Harrier, and I covered it in a different video. And just like that game, you had to score 5 million points to get the trophy in Yakuza Zero. The only difference is when I played Space Harrier in Yakuza Zero, it felt really easily, and I knocked out the 5 million points in like 15 minutes. Outrun feels so hard. I suck at this game so much. I am awful at Outrun. I'm not used to being bad at games. I'm usually pretty decent at them, but like I'm bad at Outrun, like real bad. Now in Outrun, you're not trying to beat the other racers. Instead, you have to get to the checkpoints before the time runs out. The game is really tight, like so shockingly tight. The time you have between the checkpoints, that it took me 6 or 7 tries to even get to the freaking second checkpoint. That's like 4 minutes into the game. Like I just couldn't do I just don't, my brain does not compute the mechanics of Outrun, okay? I just can't make it work. Just like any racing game, you have the gas and the brake, but you have to shift gears in Outrun. There's only low and high, but knowing when to shift is essential. And most of the challenge of this game consists of just getting around the other butthole drivers on the road who just try to crash into you on purpose. Also, just keeping the car on the road can be rough because the turns are so extreme and they're always lined with some sort of friggin' building or sign or column or something that just flips you over. And if you crash, you're freaking done. Like, I don't know that I ever crashed and was able to recover and make it to the next checkpoint. At the end of every stage, you're presented with a fork in the road, which lets you select the next stage. And they can be wildly different. And also wildly different in terms of their freaking difficulty. So knowing the path that's the easiest to get through the game is important. This also adds a lot of variety and replayability as you try to like take the different routes to play all the different stages in the game. Now, the graphics and music of this are some of the most recognizable of any classic video game, which is expected because the legendary Yu Suzuki freaking designed this game, as he did Space Harrier and Hang On and a bunch of other great games. For me, Outrun is one of these games that I really like. I just suck at it. I never played it really in the arcade back in the day, and I've never seen anybody that's really good play it. I need to see someone that's a master of this game play it and let me know like the technique for getting around enemies and stuff like that. I didn't figure it out on my own. That doesn't mean I didn't have fun with it. And I did spend several hours playing this game. It's an 80s arcade game through and through. It's designed to steal your money. But I do have some old arcade skills. I just don't have them with Outrun. Is this what people feel like when they play other arcade games? They're just like, this is impossible. And I'm like, no, it's not that bad. Like, you should just be able, yeah, just beat Ghouls and Ghosts. Just do it, man. Everybody can do it, right? This is like harder than Ghouls and Ghosts to me. No joke. Like, I suck at this game. But it holds up great. Outrun on the Yakuza Zero arcade machine. It's a 7 out of 10. It's still a really good game, and I would love to get better at Outrun and try it out again. Maybe on another console or something somewhere, but I loved Outrun. I really did. I need somebody to tell me how to play. Do you have any advice for it? If you stuck around this long, I really appreciate it. If you haven't already done that for me, leave me a comment, give me a like. That's the best way to help me with the YouTube algorithm. The names you see on the screen, well, those are my Patreon supporters and my channel members. Patreon and channel membership is a great way to support the content creators you care about. It really goes a long way to letting us know how much we mean to you, and we can let you know in return how much you mean to us. My channel members, my Patreon supporters get access to my Discord where you can chat with me and other fans of the channel. There's a ton of people over there. They chat all the time. We have a great time. You get early access to the videos, you get access to member exclusive videos, you get your names in the videos and the different tiers, so go check those out in the description down below. I couldn't do it without you guys, and I really appreciate you, and I'll catch you in the next one.